Okay, so the next topic is a cerebral cortex. So this is a very higher center. So that is what it is controlling all the subcortical functions. Okay, we will see the detail in anatomy. They will tell. Okay, cerebral consists a cerebrum. So we call it as what you are seeing below the skull. That is cerebrum. Cerebrum consists of cerebral hemisphere and subcortical nuclei. There are two cerebral hemisphere, right and left. Okay, so if you see the cerebral hemisphere, so outer gray matter, that is called cerebral cortex, and inner medulla, okay, that contains cerebral medulla. So in the cerebral cortex, and this entire hemisphere is divided into four lobes. Okay, divided into four lobes. The front, we call it as frontal lobe. Okay, this blue color, up to blue color, it's a frontal lobe. Behind that there is a parietal lobe. Behind the parietal lobe, that is your back of the brain, that is occipital lobe. And on the ear, to ear side, there is a temporal lobe. Okay, so these are very important. So you can, if you see the cerebral cortex, it is not a smooth surface. It is not, your brain is not like this, right? It is not a smooth. So it has many convolution. There are many upward and downwards. It is like, that is called gyri. Okay, so gyrus and sulcus are present. Gyrus and sulcus. So if you see, so from between the frontal lobe and parietal lobe, so there is very deep sulcus is present. It is called central sulcus. So this central sulcus divide the frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. Okay. So then between the frontal lobe and temporal lobe, there is a lateral sulcus, and between the parietal occipital lobe, so this will be dividing. Okay. So your entire cerebral cortex is divided by Brodmann into 47 areas. Okay, that is called Brodmann's area. So these are not required for you. So just remember, there's a Brodmann's area. Okay, classification. So this is the functional classification. That is Brodmann classification. He give the number. Okay, numerical classification. So like area number 3, 1, 2 you are telling, right? So that is Brodmann classification. Then functional classification of the cortex based on the functions of the cortex. So functional classification. So the frontal lobe, so mainly for which contain motor cortex, okay, motor area. So hence it, frontal lobe is for motor activity. Then parietal lobe. So parietal lobe mainly contain the sensory cortex, okay, sensory area. Hence it will involve in sensory function. Occipital lobe is mainly for vision. Okay, so whatever you are seeing, that impulses is going to this occipital lobe. Okay, so then in the temporal lobe, which is present behind the ear, so hence it is mainly concerned for hearing. Okay, auditory areas are present, hence it is concerned for hearing. So we will go, we'll see each one. So frontal lobe. Frontal lobe mainly consists motor cortex and prefrontal area. Okay, so motor cortex are area number 4, 6, 8, 44 and 45. So this is the main areas which contain. In that area number 4 are primary motor cortex. Area number 6 and 8 are premotor cortex and motor association area. So mainly the area number 4 and 6, the pyramidal tract fibers take origin from this region. Okay, the pyramidal tract. So you know the pyramidal tract which mainly the corticospinal tract, which will initiate the movement, voluntary movements. So those impulses are arising from area number 4 and 6. Okay. So here one thing we can see in this area, okay, in the area number 4 and 6, your body parts are represented. Okay, so whatever your body parts are there, so everything is represented once again in your brain. Okay, so we call it little man. So in your brain, suppose if you want to do, okay, so you can see in this picture, so how it is represented, that is called motor homunculus. Okay, motor homunculus. If you want to move your toe, so that to move your toe from this region, the impulses is going to the spinal cord to move your toe, like that. Okay, so everything, ankle, knee, your elbow, so this is a hand, your face, so everything is represented in inverted manner. Okay, it is not like first head, then neck, then your trunk, leg. It is not like that. Okay, it is from the toe it is started, so this is the medial part, so then it is going to like this, that is called motor homunculus. And one thing you have to observe here, your for movement, so to do the movement, so we are using the part like your fingers, your hand, leg more frequently, right? And to talk you are using your tongue more frequent, that is also one muscle. So that representation is more in the motor cortex. Okay, so the body is represented upside down, that means, so from the toe it is starting, from the leg it is starting and going down like this. Okay, and contralaterally, so contralaterally means your like this same is present this side. Okay, so your right part is represented, so whatever is there, the hand, fingers and all, it is present in left hemisphere, so left motor cortex, like that. Okay, so your left body parts is present in the right motor cortex. Okay, then so the extent of different parts of the here body parts which is initiate the movements, like skilled one, voluntary movements are present in the opposite half of the body. Okay, so the body representation is contralateral and upside down. Then these are about the features of motor homunculus. Okay, so same thing I is present here. Okay, so that is about the motor area. Next, coming to the parietal lobe. So parietal lobe is mainly consists sensory cortex area number 3, 1, 2. Okay, so we'll see in the 3, 1, 2. So like motor homunculus, there is a sensory homunculus is present. Okay, sensory homunculus. So like whatever the received sensation from received sensation from opposite side of the body is going to this sensory homunculus. Okay, here also the body's representation is inverted manner. So you can see here this is a sensory homunculus here. So the representation of hand and the muzzle is very less, so the face is not inverted. Okay, so here the size of the area will depends on the more number of sensory receptors. If the sensory receptors is more, so your body representation is also more. So next, coming to the occipital lobe. So occipital lobe is the center for vision. Okay, so in this occipital lobe, the primary area like area number 17, your visual input is received by the area 17. We call it the primary area. Then area 18 and 19 acts as association area for vision. Okay, so that means, so the visual pathway ends in this region. So here what will happen? So 17, just it will receive the input. Okay, visual inputs. Then in area 18 and 19, so interpretation of this visual sensation is taking place. So interpretation means what? the visual input from where it is coming. So whether it is coming from the from my slide, so what is the color of the this thing, okay, the texture. So like this the interpretation is taking place. Okay, so that is by 18 and 19, hence that is called association area. Next is the temporal lobe. So temporal lobe is mainly concerned is contain 41, 42, 21 and 22 area number. Okay, so this temporal lobe helps in perception of sound. Okay, so whatever the sound is you are hearing, so that is mainly is going to temporal lobe. And okay, and also analysis the sound heard. So here also whether the sound analysis means or interpretation of the sound means here whether the sound is a music sound or whatever what I am talking, so that the sound class sound, so like that it is interpretation is taking place. Okay, along with this one of the important area is present, that is called Broca's area. Okay, so Broca's area for speech, that is area number 44. So this area number 44 is present in the dominant hemisphere and controls all voluntary speech. So you are speaking, so that is controlled by area number 44. Hence, if the person is deaf, DEAF, if the person is deaf by birth, okay, he will not speak, become dumb. Okay, so that means, so if any lesion in the temporal lobe, the person is not able to hear the sound, he become deaf. Simultaneously the Broca's area is present in the temporal lobe, so that will also not functioning, so he will not speak. Okay, that will become dumb. So if the person is deaf, then he will dumb also. Okay, so that's complete the next come to language. So here the spoken and the written words. Spoken words means, so you are hearing the temporal, okay. Then written words, whatever the written words, through your visual input, it is entering the occipital lobe, right? So through the sensory area, it is going to sensory area. Okay, this audio visual information is passed to Wernicke's area. So like Broca's area, that is for speech, there is a Wernicke's area is present. Okay, Wernicke's area. So here, so it is a Wernicke's area. So we, now some words are present. That words are, you are reading the words. It is through your eye. It is going to visual cortex. Okay, it is going to visual cortex. So from the visual cortex, that input is going to Wernicke's area. Okay, is going to Wernicke's area where it is interpreted. Then from the Wernicke's area, it is going to Broca's area for speech. Okay, so it is going to Broca's area for the coordination of the speech and writing. Okay, so how it is the language is developing. And also, so your spoken words, you are hearing my class, right? So that is go through the ear and to the temporal lobe where auditory cortex is present. So from the temporal lobe, it is directly go to the Wernicke's area, or from the Wernicke's area, it is going to the Broca's area. So then it is coming out as the speaking a heard word. So that means, so I am speaking class. So again you will heard. So it is going to Vernix area, Broca's area, and from the Broca's area in the form of speech you will tell. Okay, so this is how the language is developing. So the last one is there is a concept of a dominant hemisphere. So you heard like that. So the left-handed person and the right-handed person. So that means in our brain, I told there's a two cerebral hemisphere. So both the hemisphere is not working 90%. Okay, so either one of the hemisphere is 90%, it is working like that. So another one is only 20-30%. So that means one is a dominant hemisphere. That means you are using all the you are using that part to do all the work. Suppose if you want to write, if you are right-handed person, so you will write in your right hand easily. But if we tell to write in left hand, this is little bit difficult to write, right? So that is like your dominant hemisphere is left hemisphere. Okay, suppose the right hemisphere is there and left hemisphere is there. Okay, the right hemisphere is controlling your left body parts. Okay, left body parts, and your left hemisphere is controlling the right body parts. Hence, if you are using the right part, that means your left hemisphere is dominant. Okay, and right hemisphere is non dominant, like that. Okay, so this is concept of dominant hemisphere. The next one is a memory. So memory is the ability of the organism to register, retain and recall the information at a later date. Okay, so whatever you are listening my class, so that you have to register and you have to recall whatever I told. Okay, so that information you are recalling. So in this also there is a short and long term memory. Okay, there is a different type of memory, that is a short time and long term memory. So in a short term memory, it is not stored permanently. Okay, it is not stored permanently. For example, telephone number. Okay, with only short period it will be there in your brain, like that. Long term memory, that is ability to recall the things or which is happening in the past month or a year, like a name or a place or any achievement or any school activity which is or school name one has you studied, or your native place of a person, like that you are remembering. That is called long term memory. Okay, okay, so that's complete the CNS. Okay, the central nervous system is completed. So I will send the important question. Okay, so just go through that important question for the university exam also, and for this second sessional exam also. Thank you all. So the next system, that is the last system, is a special sense. Okay, thank you.